Welcome! Let's see what's up with the Ball Lightning of Static Totem Hierophant build. The Ball Lightning of Static is a new version of a very basic lightning spell that deals lightning hit damage to enemies around it. This one, as the name suggests, is static, allowing it to hit the same stationary target more times. It's no longer considered a projectile. A clever way in which you can keep good clear speed is by using totems. Each totem can cast its own static ball lightning at the nearest enemy, which has its own cooldown. This version of ball lightning has cooldown and charges, much like Flame Dash. The obvious choice for most spell totem builds is a Hierophant. The Pursuit of Faith and Ritual of Awakening passives are simply the best ones you can get. While you're a Hierophant, grab the Conviction of Power for charges, and Arcane Blessing for Arcane Surge. With Mind over Matter, your mana pool serves as a secondary life pool, and you should take advantage of that. Mana pool will be a very potent defensive layer with Arcane Cloak that creates a defensive layer out of your mana. Try to equalize your mana and life to benefit from MOM. You're allowed to have as many Ball Lightning of Static as you can conjure, as they do have a fixed duration and hit frequency, and the best way to increase your DPS is by placing more totems, or by reducing your cooldown recovery rate, so that your totems can spawn a new ball sooner. Your defensive layers are Mana, Armor, Evasion, Spell Suppression, Block Chance, and Life, Mana Regeneration. Energy Shield is somewhat high. It can struggle with life and mana recovery after an injury, especially a physical one, as the armor rating is lacking. Clear Speed is as good as any other totem build after getting some cooldown recovery rate. Your totems aim for the enemy automatically, so killing bosses requires no skill at all. The damage is high. The build will work perfectly fine on a low budget. The more you spend on it, the better it gets, as it's a rather generic build. The build does not need any unique items, you can assemble it in an SSF environment. However, we do recommend Mark of the Shaper Ring, Algor Mortis Gloves, and Ashes of the Stars Amulet. These are the best in slot items, at least for a regular player. If you feel like your damage is not enough, even after acquiring a good weapon, get the Soul Mantle Body Armor. Viridi's Veil Helmet can be used with one magic ring to be hexproof. Consider it only if you're wearing Soul Mantle. Socket your auras here. Atziri's Reflection is a rather poor shield, at least when compared to expensive rare ones, for an endgame build, but it's still quite good. It can be used with Soul Mantle to become hexproof. It has tons of intelligence, energy shield, evasion, and some elemental resistances. Soul Mantle. Use it for the built-in spell totem support gems. It lets you make a 7-link setup for the Ball Lightning. A good rare body armor is still better unless you have a corrupted Soul Mantle with +2 or even +3, if twice corrupted, to level of socketed AoE gems. Be sure you're hexproof if wearing it. Algor Mortis Gloves are the best. They sap enemies and cause them to take increased lightning damage, but only if they're on chilled ground. You create them with Creeping Frost on your Arcanist brand. Ashes is the best amulet in our opinion. The extra skill gem level improves damage, whilst the quality upgrades all your skill gems, which is particularly great in Ball Lightning of Static, Flame Dash, Searing Bond, Arcane Cloak, and many others. Only the finest rare amulet can outclass it. Mark of the Shaper adds lightning damage to spells and increases spell damage by 80% if your other rare ring is influenced by Elder. It has maximum life, some energy shield, and a volatile anomaly which is not really that good. The Self-Flagellation Jewel is good only with Soul Mantle and while hexproof. It increases your damage by a lot. You're using Vitality, Clarity, Zealotry, and maybe Determination or Wrath. Look for Crit Chance and Elemental Penetration mods on your Watcher's Eye. Vitality has minor life regeneration mods, and Clarity offers damage taken from mana before life, mana recoup, or mana recovery. Focus on cooldown recovery rate, spell damage, and critical strike chance to maximize your DPS. Maximum mana, with Mind over Matter, and maximum life will provide you with a large life pool. If you want to be even more tanky, seek physical damage reduction, chaos resistance, and spell suppression chance. You can even reach a 100% spell suppression chance with the right items. Use the rare helmet for maximum life, maximum mana, resistances, and spell suppression chance. It's also an opportunity to reduce physical damage taken. Seek physical damage taken as fire damage as Eldritch implicit. The other one may increase your crit chance for spells. A +1 or +2 wand for lightning spells with additional maximum mana, spell damage, and critical strike chance for spells is what you should look for. Cast speed is not needed. Get a Shaper's Shield for +1 maximum totem. There are tons of other modifiers a spell shield has to offer. Maximum life, crit chance, spell damage, maximum mana, and spell suppression are the most important. A basic armor with a lot of maximum life, resistances, spell suppression, and maximum mana will be perfect. Remember to craft a prefix that shifts a portion of physical damage to fire and lightning. For the Eldritch mods, get an increased aura effect and a frenzy charge every 15 seconds. Boots, besides the default maximum life, movement speed, and resistances, should also get you additional maximum mana and cooldown recovery rate. It's a Shaper Crusader suffix. Alternatively, it can be added via Eldritch Orb. A belt with maximum life, resistances, and increased cooldown recovery, which can be crafted, is good enough, but to improve it seek maximum mana, armor, and life regeneration. Rings. Here you will seek missing attributes, mostly strength and dexterity. Maximum life and mana are the best prefixes that can be crafted. Look mostly for these, as much as you can afford. On your jewels, search for missing resistances, attributes, maximum life, maximum mana, and maybe crit chance or added lightning damage if it's an abyss jewel. The scintillating idea notable from a large cluster jewel is the most important. It grants maximum mana and lightning penetration. Supercharge is better the lower your crit chance is, which we don't expect to be capped anyway. Medium cluster jewels. Sleepless Sentries is used for onslaught, while Ancestral Reach increases totem damage, placement speed, and placement range. Use Bottled Faith for Consecrated Ground, which grants more damage, and increased crit chance against enemies on it. Use it during boss fights. You should also implement one life flask that stops bleeding, a diamond, granite, and quicksilver flasks with suffixes for increased crit chance, movement speed, and armor. Ball Lightning of Static, a stationary ball with fixed hit frequency and duration. It stores charges that are regained over time. It has no limit on how many balls you can have. The only restriction is your cooldown recovery rate, improved with gem quality, and totem limit. Link it with Awakened Lightning Penetration, Cruelty, increased critical strikes, increased critical damage, and of course spell totem support gems. Place Searing Bond totems to benefit from the Ironwood Notable and Ritual of Awakening passive. With multiple totems, ashes, and level 4 enhance you will be able to summon 14 totems. Link them to multiple totems, enhance, and make space for Flame Dash 2. It lets you dash around. Quality improves its cooldown recovery rate. Arcanist Brand casts linked spells with each activation while being attached to an enemy. These spells are Creeping Frost, which conjures chilled ground beneath the target so that you can benefit from Algor Mortis, and Assassin's Mark, which increases your critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier against marked enemies. Support them with a faster casting gem. Arcane Cloak sacrifices a portion of your actual mana, which is mostly unreserved, to create a protective barrier around you. It's a potent defensive layer in this build. As you spend mana inside the Sigil of Power, you gain additional lightning damage and you take less damage. Link these two with increased duration and Arcane Surge support to gain powerful and long-lasting buffs. Wrath simply grants you more lightning damage with spells. With Divine Blessing, Wrath is now a temporary spell aura that you can activate when you need more damage. It costs a lot of mana, so link it to Inspiration support. Vitality regenerates a fixed amount of life over time. Clarity regenerates mana over time. As you activate Vol Righteous Fire, you deal more spell damage for the next few seconds. It consumes your life and ES. Determination can be used here instead if you really need the extra physical damage reduction. It's great, especially against minor enemies. Kill all the bandits in the second act and be rewarded with 2 additional skill points. For a major god, we recommend Brine King for freeze immunity and some resistance to stuns. Soul of Solaris can be used instead if you plan to fight a pinnacle boss. Soul of Garukin for 60% reduced effective shock on you to prevent getting one tapped is a good choice, but so are other minor gods. You can pick any. The passive skill tree will supply you with maximum life, maximum mana, totem damage, critical passives, lightning, and elemental damage. Pick up Ancestral Bond, Magebane, Mind Over Matter, and Iron Will Keystones. For masteries, get 50 extra life as Life Mastery, 25% chance to treat enemy resistance as inverted for Elemental Mastery, Reservation Efficiency and Mana Recovery on guard skill use as 2 Mana Masteries, 5% of damage taken from totems first and 60% increased totem crit chance if summoned a totem recently as 2 Totem Masteries, plus 25% crit multiplier against unique enemies as Crit Mastery, maximum mana to affect shock effect as Lightning Mastery, increased charge duration as Charge Mastery, but only if you have the Frenzy charge every 15 seconds implicit on your body armor, and additional 15% spell suppression chance as Evasion Mastery, if you meet the condition that is. This concludes our guide. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.